So just for one video, let's say, just for this moment, this is a subjectless video that just speaks to the art of being, and primarily the art of being with what is. If you know this channel or you've watched any of my videos, you'll know that I speak to this a lot, because the essence of what comes through this particular individuation in the context of spiritual inquiry and spiritual awareness, all this seeking, all this conversation about spirituality, is that the purpose in many ways of this channel is to strip some of that right back to its essentials, which in many ways, one could distill it down to the simple phrase of our capacity to be fully here with what is, to meet life as we are and as it is, in a presence and an openness that has no overlay, no narrative, no story, no avoidance, just this, as if silence, just the silence of being, our capacity to be with what is from the depth of us. And it's quite ironic in many ways that it's become so simple for me in the way that I talk. It's become very simple after a lot of complexity. Not that I got lost in the mental realm of spirituality. I think I probably got lost more in the emotional realm, being quite an emotional being rather than a mental being in many ways. And so I sort of tendency to get lost in emotions, in the strength or veracity or intensity of emotions, which is why I speak to the emotional body really quite a lot. But even after all of that, it's come down to the, as I guess I've gone deeper and deeper and deeper, and got quieter and quieter and quieter, and realized more and more the nature of mind, the nature of mind's tendency to explain, to seek to understand, avoid, rationalize, judge, any habit that the mind, the ego mind, comes up with, in essence, to simply avoid what is here without mitigating it or explaining it. That's the art of presence. And the art of presence is the same as the art of silence. And both of these two arms that are the same and kind of are aspects of beingness, of our simple essence, our beingness, being here, being with, being in presence, being in silence, as presence, as silence, as the beingness. And I think that, this sounds kind of simple in the way that I'm speaking of it, but it's not. And when I consider how lost and overlaid I was on my own journey through the many veils and unraveling so many levels of the self, so many wounds and pain and misunderstandings and misperceptions, ideas, thoughts, beliefs, all the whole, everything, that eventually that those all kind of came undone, I would say, and I fell into a much deeper, more silent, more quiet, more equanimous space. And I did attend to lots of aspects of the self. For instance, one of the things that I do think is actually quite primary, and I wish it wasn't so, but I think it is quite so, is to seek to dissolve and remove the charge, the almost electrical, emotional, mental, energetic charge from the body system, from the nervous system, from the subtle energy body system, from the various places in the energy body where it's, where the past wounds and hurts and all of the insults from the world get stored up in these energetic, contracted places. And I think that, for me, it was Ayurveda that actually really helped to loosen that up. And it wasn't easy at all. And it's not easy because when you start tinkering with the body, when you start intervening and changing some of the body habits, then it's not just the body habits, it's the mind and the emotional investment in the body habits. The correlation, the link between the emotional, mental body and the physical body is direct. They're entwined. They're very, very seriously entwined. So when you go, when you really consider going, fasting or changing or cleaning up your act or detoxification on a very serious level, not just on a superficial level of, I'm going to diet for a few weeks or something. I'm talking really quite seriously. And then that has a big effect immediately. But let's not get involved in that. We're talking about the long-term effect of that is to start to dissolve those energetic contractions in the body, cleans it up. And by you have to deal with your addictions, your addictive mechanisms, your addictive habits, the addictive thoughts and emotions. And I would say that dealing with the body actually is a really very useful. Dealing with the breath is really very, very useful to start, paying attention to the breath and not just looking at it or thinking about it, but actually even to the point of finding a breath worker and doing breath release work, because so much is locked up in the tightness of the breath. These two things are really, really, useful. I think, things like, working on the family for us, working on how embedded in the family dynamic and the family constellation we've become, and how much of that is still, how much of that is still playing itself out, whether we're in the family are passed away, or we've moved out, or we've got a family of our own. Still without conscious attention, those energetic entanglements, the dynamic, the constellation can still be playing itself out, and there's no freedom. There's no real freedom in that, because in many ways we're still in the family dynamic as little Johnny or little Sally or whatever. It's like we're still kind of seeking to make amends or find balance from that family matrix. So I think that, looking at the family and the whole ancestral lineage and the whole ancestral burden is a very useful thing to do. And, to get clear about what it is that one really is wanting on the deepest level. What is the heart's deepest yearning? What is it? Is it to be free, really? Is it pain relief? You know, what is it? Do you want to know God? Do you want to know what existence is? You know, how much are you prepared to do? How far do we go? You know, I went the whole way. I wasn't, you know, it was a one-way street, really. I got on without realizing it. I was kind of heading towards the unknown all my life, because I've sort of lived in the unknown all my life in so many ways. But we have to get clear about what it is that we'll want. And another quality is to develop a warrior's softness, the persistence, the courage of a warrior, but not just this sort of courage, but the courage to persist, the courage, the sheer raw courage to not be held back, particularly by one's own self. That requires a lot of strength, because, you know, what comes up is powerful. And what arises in a human being when they start removing the veil is powerful stuff. It is powerful, strong energy. And one has to have the courage of a lion, you know, but the tenderness of a lion, the tenderness as well, to be able to kind of navigate and surf some of that territory, some of that dance, the paradox. I'm all about the paradox of life. To be fully immersed, to be fully able to feel, without overlay. The art of being, the art of meeting what is here, is the most courageous and yet surrendered art and capacity that we have. The sheer capacity to be here with what is, in presence, in openness, in silence, with grace, with a kind of love, to be unafraid of entering the fire of love and the love of truth without knowing what either of those mean. These deepest aspects of us are the most beautiful aspects of us. When we go deeper and deeper and deeper, we find extraordinarily exquisite beauty within us, within others, within the world, within these deepest qualities. But we habituate to the surface, and we habituate to the surface and lose all idea of what's going on beneath the surface. And so we become afraid of it, imagining that the shadow and the darkness and that which is below the surface is, you know, is somehow dark and you know, gonna swallow us up or kill us. But when you really enter, and you keep on entering and entering and entering and entering, you find that's where the jewels are. The jewels are in the darkness. The light is in the very darkness you avoid. The love is in the very darkness that seems so scary. It's the opposite. It's the opposite of what we think it is. So be unafraid of that, or if you are afraid, let yourself be afraid. Meet what is. If fear comes up, you don't have to, you know, get rid of it or explain it or understand it. It's what's rising up. Whatever rises up within us is here. It's true. It doesn't have to be reacted on. It doesn't have to be acted on. It has to be welcomed and acknowledged and loved. And that's our capacity. That's our presence. That's our silence. That's our openness. That, my friend, is our art of being. The art of being fully with what is. Bless you today.